Yesterday, I dropped off our food and money contributions at the food bank so they'd be ready for the Thanksgiving blessing this week. And the employee who helped me was kind and grateful and obviously very proud and passionate about the work that he does. And he mentioned offhand that he wasn't going to have a day off until Thanksgiving, but he said it was worth it to help people, to make the difference that he knew that they were making. And I lost track of how many times that he said thank you. And he really meant it. And I was touched by the sincerity of his commitment and his gratitude. And so I was thinking about that as I got in the car that I've been able to borrow for the fall and heading to the Special Olympics building where my sister has been welcome since day one that we arrived here, and sipping a warm beverage that I didn't have to think twice about buying. And while I do aim to be consciously grateful on a daily basis, this man and his energy of gratitude really sparked a deeper appreciation in me. And here we are, we're in the season where we take a few moments to be grateful. And I say take a few moments because it seems to be kind of squished up between everything else. I think we could make the season of gratitude last a little bit longer, like all the time. I know, I'm revolutionary. There's the other part, in many Thanksgiving gatherings, there's that obligatory moment where everyone shares something that they're thankful for, when my guess is that at least half the people there are just really wanting to get to the food. And it's kind of awkward sometimes. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's kind of awkward. Anyway, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this practice. Just, of course, that I think we could take it deeper. We've probably all heard someone say that there are benefits to practicing gratitude. You've probably heard me say there's benefits for practicing gratitude. You've probably heard Oprah say it. But just in case you need more urging, or maybe this is something that will click in a different place, we've got science to back us up. And you know how I love when there's science to back us up. I found this great Forbes article that brought together 7 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude. Gotta love that. There's people do research on this. Number 1, gratitude opens doors to more relationships. And I thought about that when this summer I wrote a letter to the CEO of Special Olympics Alaska, and I expressed my gratitude for the team of staff and volunteers that work both in our local Anchorage community and at the state level, and the difference that they make for our family. And I just wanted to express that. I really was feeling it, and so I wrote the email to express that. And one of the things that came out of that was an opportunity for, as some of those people that email had been passed on to, came to me and said, thank you for writing that. That meant something to us. And that led us to having deeper conversations and more talking about how we could engage even more in understanding each other and how they could support us and how we could support the organization and all of that. Because I expressed my gratitude, those conversations happened and brought us closer and deeper. Number 2, gratitude improves your physical health. That's something most of us can't shake a finger at. According to a 2012 study, grateful people experience fewer aches and pains, and grateful people are more likely to take care of their health, including more regular exercise and keeping up with their doctor's appointments and stuff like that. So, be grateful, be well. And gratitude improves your psychological health. I don't think that's not too much of a surprise to me. There's a guy he's actually a gratitude researcher. His name is Dr. Emmons. I'm sure there's others, but I think that's pretty neat. That's a pretty cool job. I could do that job. Well, after I got a PhD. But his research confirms that gratitude reduces depression and increases happiness. So experiencing gratitude actually helps you not get depressed. And we live in Alaska in the wintertime, so that's a great thing to do, right? Gratitude, we're up to number 4 by now. Gratitude enhances empathy and reduces aggression. That's good. You want to know why, right? You ready? Grateful people are more likely to behave in pro-social manners. They're less likely to retaliate against others, and they have more sensitivity and empathy towards others. So when we see each other as fellow beings of worth, then it's harder to be mean. Make sense? Number 5, grateful people sleep better. Who wants to get a piece of that? So, they have a study that showed that 15 minutes of writing what you're grateful for before bed may help you sleep better and longer. Which, that makes sense to me too, because we're putting whatever we think about right before we go to bed, kind of, we chew on all night, right? So, if you're watching the news right before you go to bed, it's a bad idea, because that's what you're going to chew on. But if you are thinking about grateful things, the things you're grateful for, that's what you're going to work on. In another study that I read a long time ago, they had people do, I don't remember if it was crossword puzzles or Sudoku or something. They had people do some sort of puzzle right before they went to bed. Or maybe it was, anyway, there was some sort of, some puzzle they had to solve, whatever it was. They had to do it right before they went to bed, and they measured how they did it right before they went to bed. And then and then in the morning, first thing, they gave them the same one, and they did it way faster because they'd been doing it all night. And so, just think about that. Whatever you do right before you go to bed, you're going to be doing it all night. So just think about that. So gratitude journal seems like a good thing to do, right? I want to be grateful all night. So number 6, gratitude improves self-esteem. In part because it reduces social comparisons. If I'm grateful for what I have, I'm less likely to be jealous of your sparkly whatever. And then I feel good about myself because I'm grateful for what I have instead of resentful, envious, and all those other really juicy words. And number 7, gratitude increases mental strength. They did a study on Vietnam veterans, and it showed that those with higher levels of gratitude had lower rates of PTSD. That's real stuff right there. And similarly, gratitude was a major contributor of resilience following 9/11. So those who practiced gratitude were able to bounce up and move forward at a better, higher rate. So it sounds like a good thing to have kind of in our toolbox, in our pocket, already practicing, because, life is always happening, right? So, long before any of these studies, Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, wrote, "It has been found by experience that a person increases his blessings by being grateful for what he has. Gratitude, even on the mental plane, is a great magnet. When gratitude is expressed from the spiritual standpoint, it is powerfully augmented." You want to powerfully augment your gratitude, right? Yeah. The Fillmores and other teachers of their time deeply believed that our words had power. I believe that our words have power. And so another quote from him, from Charles Fillmore, is, this one's got a couple words we're not used to hearing in our modern language, but roll with it. "Every word has a quality that sympathetically relates to an idea innate in the mind of man." So every word connects to your brain. "And when the word is released, it radiates an energy that contracts or expands the body cells. and through them our external nature. So whenever we say a word, it's expressed. For example, this is still quoting Charles, words of praise, gratitude, or thanksgiving expand, set free, and in every way radiate energy. Words of failure or impotence congest energy and cause the cells to crowd together, making nerves trembly and bones brittle. Does that sound and feel like there's some truth in that? Now, because I know for me that when I'm in a consciousness of gratitude and love, I feel open and free and radiant. And I'm ready to be in the world and share my light and all of those things. And when I'm in fear or resentment, or some of those other juicy words like envy, I feel constricted and weak and blah and not enough. So how do we deepen our practice of gratitude? Because that sounds like a pretty good thing to do, right? Not just for a few days at the end of Thanksgiving, of November. Well, we've just finished our series on daring greatly and being vulnerable, and what I've just thought about in the context of that gratitude is that when we have that deep sincerity of sharing our gratitude, like how I was shown gratitude by the food bank worker yesterday, that requires some vulnerability. Some things it's obvious that we can't do for ourselves, so it's easier to say thank you to someone who helps us with something that it's obvious we can't do for ourselves. But to say what you did made a difference in my life, and in a deeply sincere way, it sometimes can feel like allowing someone to see our weak side. Because I remember saying that we needed someone to do that for us, or it made us better, which means that we weren't that good before. You know how our brains kind of get ourselves all cattywampus like that. But when you're brave and you do it anyway, and you say deeply sincere thank you, that really made a difference for me. I needed that in that moment. It brings us closer together. And that's pretty good. So sometimes expressing gratitude means you got to be brave. Other times, we find ourselves falling into the habit of cynicism or pity parties or jealousy. Not all you all are very enlightened, but just in case it's ever happened before, and you might notice it, maybe like at Christmas you go, oh, I really wish I had the fancy cool lights that they have on their house. Whoa. Okay, here's what you do. You ready? We do this when we're disconnected from our deeper truth of worthiness. And when we're disconnected from our connection from others. And the challenge is to notice and replace that habit. So in the Unity teen groups, many of them have this, they always have group agreements. And often one of those group agreements is if someone says a put down, then they have to do 3 put ups. Which includes if they say something, put down about themselves. Like, I'm so dumb. If they say, I'm so dumb, then they have to say 3 counterbalance. Yeah, put ups, which is kind of a weird word, but that's what we say. So, and this can be translated to any area in your life. So if you use 3 sincere moments of gratitude as an antidote for any unkind words about yourself or about others, even someone who really annoys you, and this is the season where a lot of us are traveling and visiting people, and it happens, right? Well, I'm really grateful for, there's got to be something. Even if it's the color of their eyes, whatever it is, find something. So, of course, noticing what's going on and using gratitude as an antidote to the evil green monster and everything. That's good, but the daily practice of gratitude is, I think, the best way to lift up our life, lift up those around us, and help us build that resilience to the bumps and bruises of life. So maybe you decide to keep a gratitude journal and write 5 new things you're grateful for every day. Or maybe you decide to give unhurried thanks to every person who serves you in some way. What would taking that thanks to the grocery store checkout person just a little deeper look like? Not like a big emotional scene or anything, just like, I really appreciate the work you did, or I really appreciate how you were so careful stacking the squishy things on top, whatever, you know, just make it real. Just express that. Maybe you write a thank you note to someone in your life for just being in your life and for any particular traits they inhabit that are meaningful to you. You can make it something you do every week. Who am I going to write a thank you note to this week? Not for a particular thing, but just for being who they are. That would be a great way to spread your ripple. This is the art of gratitude. It's not something that we do for a couple weeks in November. It's just the time we talk about it the most. But the art of gratitude is something that we take deeper, that we live, that we embody. As they say, change your life, change the world.